Where's this retweet?
I know we can't actually start this game until we've retweeted. It's very impertinent that
I'm so close to getting this tweet out.
You guys are really gonna see what happens every night when we play games with
No, you know what? You can be a bully to him if you like. I plan to treat him with respect.
Oh really? Really?
He is another caster on the channel, just like you or I.
Really?
I appreciate that sentiment, but are you
Shut the fuck up and make a tweet already. Jesus Christ.
I already made the tweet.
All right, we can get this game started then. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TING Open $5,000 tournament. This is the first North American qualifier. I'm Rifkin, joined by not just Zombie Grub, but now also our good friend Fear Dragon. And we got a bit of shenanigans. So Fear Dragon, why don't you kick off these intros for us?
All right, spawning up here on the top side, we have the blue Zerg player. Give it up for viOLet.
And then let's hear the sweet sound of State's intro, Zombie Grub.
In the bottom left, as the red Protoss, he's on fire. It's States.
I actually made their little logo like a fire emoji. I love it.
Yo, there's a Twitter account for On Fire now.
Yeah.
It's like a legitimate team now.
For those who don't know, it's not just like a joke, like the whole Blind Fire thing. Like State, Scarlet, Patience, and a couple others banded together to play in the SC2 Improved Team League as a team. So the unofficial team On Fire between them.
So what's really cool about, I guess, the game today is that we've already seen someone hold this perfectly. And now we're going to see someone hold it with the frontal wall off, which might not be so perfect.
Right, this is what I find so funny about this. We talked about North Americans almost exclusively being the ones to put the pylon in that mineral line. State, okay, he's North American by birth, but he's Korean by nature, as he's lived and been training in Korea under MC for quite some time.
Did that really not see the lings? Okay, see this lings.
But seeing any lings is a big red flag. He cancels the gas to put another pylon in the back. But he was, gonna try to block that off.
Yeah, but that's like the huge problem, right? Is that if he had seen the earlier Zerglings, his probe gets there in time and builds the pylon. Now he has to pull all these probes.
Yeah, that was pretty. I don't think I've ever seen that happen on Dust Towers. That really sucks.
And you guys can see the income graph in real time. Watch that just spike out of control for viOLet because State has no mining while this goes on.
This is really painful, but I do like the fact that, you know, State hasn't lost an absurd number of workers yet. He's only lost one worker. Yeah, he lost a lot of mining time, but he did some great zoning with those probes against the Zerglings. Make sure they didn't just get into the natural expansion and start running rampant.
Alright, Mothership Core's out. This should cover. This was definitely scary for State, but he's held this to a fairly manageable degree. Now, I speak too soon, and maybe these last 4 legs get about 10 kills, but I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah. This was not as perfect as we saw Huck do, and of course, actually, this pylon still might go down. 2 more lings come through here, and State is not paying attention to it, so... Nope, they have to run away from the Adept.
Yeah, honestly, it would have kind of been a little bit of a blessing, because if that pylon goes down a little bit earlier, you can take his third.
Yeah, right? Of course, behind this, viOLet was getting a third base himself and joining up. It's really hard to like completely end the game with a push like this. I mean, we saw Puck go for a Nexus first and still be able to hold it while losing 5 probes. So the game never ends, seems like, with this push, but it certainly could get viOLet a good lead and good command on the game. Only killing 1 probe though.
So I think
a lead.
There's like pros and cons to this though, because he didn't over dedicate to the lings. There was no repercussions at home from, you know, suffering. State had so many probes running around, he didn't lose a lot. But we look at the actual income graph, and for like that time period, you can basically count, I'd say, an average of about 200 minerals lost, just from what he didn't mine during that time period. So this did get viOLet ahead on a very, very small way, but he, even though he didn't devastate State, he still comes out a little bit better for it.
Well, the Adepts are going to be coming in, and there's not exactly a lot of Zerglings out just yet. 8 of them are about to pop in with the Queens. There should be enough to defend, but the Adepts can still at least try and get a couple of drone kills.
In the last series with Hydra, we saw the exact same counter push with the 2 Adepts, and Hydra was able to deal with it with only, I think, 6 lings, and the Queens, of course. viOLet gets a lot more. They're going to be kind of useless besides going for these Adepts, because they do not have speed, and it looks like viOLet doesn't have any plans to get speed soon. Goes for a lair instead with his gas.
I like the control out of State, though. He doesn't get too greedy with the Adepts, and he actually does take them out. I don't know about the Phoenix in this sort of situation. viOLet was showing earlier, like, he's pretty much willing to do anything and everything. Roaches and Ravagers especially, and Phoenixes are not going to have enough energy to lift that many units.
This is going to get a little bit weird. I really do like the trend for more Protoss players being more careful with their adepts, though, because for these kind of like counter pushes or like even just a handful of the Zerglings, it makes it so much easier to defend it if you just don't sacrifice your adepts to try and kill off as many drones as possible. Then suddenly you don't have an army.
Yeah. Of course, Ravi, I forgot we haven't set him up with the Twitch alerts, so we got that donation from Mr. Boris Macron. $5 coming in, says, give Ravi more webcam space. Ace Fork. Hashtag nerf vampirism. Ravi has to earn more webcam space, okay, guys? He's new. He only gets like 80%.
I've grown.
It's racist.
No, but I've grown a lot since Copa America. I have so much more webcam space since Copa America.
Shout out to anyone who remembers Fear Dragon joining us for a couple of those Copa America casts. He made himself like Tinkerbell sized. It's the only way I can describe it.
To anyone who saw him on the finals. Oh, wait a minute.
Stop.
Stop. Copa America finals never happened.
No, actually, I just don't care anymore. I'm so past that at this point. viOLet, of course, rocking and rolling with these drones. He's got a really nice income lead, as we can see over the last few minutes of the game. Phoenixes are out, and they'll be a little annoying to deal with at first, but the odd Spore Crawler here, a couple of Queens in position. These shouldn't be able to get too much done. But the number one thing they did do was pull all the Overlords back, and viOLet doesn't have that map control. He doesn't have creep spread. He can't really see what's coming.
Well, there is going to be this adept attack, but I am a little bit concerned for State right now because the Lurker Den is almost halfway finished up already, and the Twilight Council's only now finishing up. He doesn't have charge. He doesn't have that big charge that Archon force that a lot of Pros players really wanted to deal with the Lurkers.
Getting a couple of Hydralisk and even a couple of Queens here with the Phoenixes, some really good control so far, and actually starting to spiral a little bit. More Hydras going down, Lings going down. 12 more Hydras are on the way, of course, and this should be cleaned up, but this is a lot more damage than I think viOLet expected.
Oh
my god.
You know what?
Yeah.
How much health does a Hellion have? Was it 80 or 85? It's 80, right?
60, to be honest, so I have no idea.
Because I was just thinking, Hydras have 80 health as well. Does this mean the Adepts take that one extra shot to kill the Hydralisks with a new balance change?
Oh, I gotta go look this up. That's why I have a third person.
Yeah, this is I'm moving tab out. Oh, no, they've got 90, I think. Actually, I think I'm completely off on this. Do Hellions have 80 or 90 health?
This is too important for Dragon. It's 90 health.
90. Okay. No, it was actually it was kind of important because if that was affecting the Hydralisk, that would actually change this matchup a lot. But
Yeah.
anyways, sorry, Ravi, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, all the adepts for State get cleaned up, and now the Hydrals count is high enough that he can at least push back the Phoenixes. Phoenixes can't lift up those Hydrals on their own. And as I was saying, like, you know, charge is only just now being started. +1 is only just now being started. He's trying to get up double Robos, maybe to get out a ton of Immortals quickly, but with the Lurker Den, again, already finished up, I feel like this is gonna be a really scary moment for State.
I do like the potential storms coming up behind this. There's something we were missing a little bit earlier when we were watching Huck play, but a lot of what these Phoenix are doing, I think, more than damage, more than threats, is just it's keeping viOLet at home, letting State get this tech behind it. I mean, I don't think the Immortals are super necessary. He saw the Lurker Den, so he's worried about that, so it's a good choice to get them. I'm actually really curious about these air upgrades he's investing into.
Oh.
That is interesting. I mean, 2 Stargate Phoenix is not something that is too unheard of, especially on Dust Towers. Well, the number is a little crazy. But to actually invest in their upgrades, that's not something we usually see. He has a very big mid-game to worry about before you can think about going into mass air.
So that's actually the point, though, right? State's one of these few players who has been making use of the Golden Armada in his late game, and hell, against Terran in his early game. But the point is, he's one of these players willing to go that far. So this upgrade, yes, it'll benefit the Phoenix, sure, but I almost guarantee you, this small investment now feels like it's like the potential carriers later on, the potential Tempest later on.
Yeah. On top of that, it's just a really great way to try and deal with any sort of a later Mutalisk transition that could come out, because that is, again, one of the big follow-ups that a lot of players do after the armies trade out, after they're maxed out and they end up sacrificing all their supply in the big battle. Oh, okay.
So that awkward moment when you are not playing Archon mode and you sacrifice your Phoenix into the Hydras by being out of position. So while this comes down, the army backing up, there's charge on these Zealots so they can maybe deal with the Hydras. But that's 10 freaking Lurkers coming out of viOLet. This isn't something going to be easily cleaned up, even with a high Immortal count that State has.
This is a very scary push. +2 is still a ways off from finishing, and viOLet is looking for, like, he's not fooling around here. He's looking for the push. He's actually going to direct to the 4th base. So a couple of roaches to buffer for the Hydralisk. Burrow actually coming down too. That's interesting.
Well, Roaches and Hydras now coming in,
but
but the Lurkers are set up in such a great
Oh
position.
god, this is so bad. The Zealots just get chunked away immediately. The Archon's even falling underneath this. He does Graviton Beam up some of the Lurkers, but the crowd control element, or sorry, the Roaches, the crowd control element's not worth it.
The Zealots just all like bunched on like one section of units. That was the worst.
Okay, so actually, this sounds a bit trolly, and I can't say that this was ever like proven to be worth it. But No Regret talked a little bit about how some players in I can't remember. No Regret and someone else was the two players talking about this. Talked about how in HOTS you wouldn't see a lot of people go for charge because well, hold on. Talk about this in a second.
Oh, the Dark Templars. Oh, the Dark Templars.
There's no detection. There's no detection. This is gonna send the Lurkers packing. Now, of course, the Hydras are still a problem, but this holds the line for State, who's down a third of the supply. This was not a fight he was going to win otherwise with units that could be detected. And the Phoenix, if there's not enough Hydras, they could troll around and make sure the Overseers die before they can actually detect anything.
Yeah, looks like he's going to back up, though. He wants to keep those Phoenixes alive, because really, he just doesn't have a whole lot else. If he ends up losing those Phoenixes, it's like, okay, well, awesome. I got a couple of DTs and some Zealots.
Yeah, the Archons are cool. Do we actually have... Is there Storm on the way? No, there's no Storm, so it's a really unfortunate situation. Because you got the Templar Archives. This happened with Huck, too. Like, it's expensive, and I get that, but Storms will shut down these Hydras pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where he's just been continuously pumping out units, and he never really had the resources to go for it, because it could have always been like an extra Archon or something, instead of going for Storm.
Looks like there's some Roaches that snuck into the fourth base while this went on. These should get cleaned up. This does distract from the main force. Oh god, everything's out of position. State had no idea this was coming. Like, the Phoenixes are nowhere. GG. viOLet with a very vicious game number 1.
Yeah, not quite as entertaining as that Hydra versus Hawk series so far.